All right, guys, I'm back, and I have had the worst year. You know, last winter, my season came to a screeching halt. As a matter of fact, my sleds are still sitting where I left them. I didn't even get a chance to put them away properly for the summer. Hopefully they're going to start. So just give me a minute to make some room in here, and I'll tell you all about it. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is David Clark, and these are my old sleds. If you've been hanging out with me for a while, then you might remember that last year, I just kind of disappeared all of a sudden. So I'd been talking about doing some carburetor cleaning videos, and I started working on those, and then I just disappeared without telling anybody why. I will get back to making snowmobile content. In this video, I wanted to let you know what happened to me last year and why I disappeared. There's also certain parts of my experience that I think will be helpful for anyone in our sport to know. So by now you've probably figured out that it's got something to do with a heart attack, but to make a short story longer, there's more to it than that. And that's actually not where it started. But I am gonna get to that. So if you've had a heart attack or you're thinking about having a heart attack, then this is the video for you. And like with all my videos, I'm not dispensing professional advice. I'm just sharing my experience and my opinions. I'm not a doctor, I'm just a guy with a sled. So do your own research, make sure you're getting the most current, most accurate information. Last season wasn't great for me. I was tired all the time. I was feeling the cold more than normal. I didn't even feel like getting out and riding the sled. I did get out a few times, shot some riding video. My buddy Frank and I took both of the sleds out. We had a really great day out riding. But overall, I just was not feeling it last winter. As dumb as it sounds, this all just starts with a simple slip and fall on some ice in my driveway. I got to about here, I hit some ice, and I went down hard, right on my upper back. Oh, shit, that hurt. I had a hairline fracture in 2 of my vertebrae, and I had much more substantial fractures in 2 of my ribs. If that was all that happened, it would have ended my season. There was no way that I could ride a sled with those fractures. But wait, there's more. So I had chest pain for a week or so after that fall. And I mean, that makes sense, right? When you think about those broken ribs. But on the Saturday night, it was different. I had all the classic symptoms. I had crushing pain in my chest. I had pain in my jaw, kind of like a toothache in all of my teeth. I had pressure in my shoulder, under my collarbone. And I broke out in a cold sweat. And I also had just this general feeling of dread, like something was really wrong. And I said to my wife, I think we better go to emergency. I'm pretty sure this is my heart. So they took it seriously. They took me right in. They did an EKG. They did some blood work. And they came back and they said, no, it's not your heart, it's probably pain from your ribs. Now, over the next few days, this continued, right? Pain in my chest, pain in my jaw. I really should have gone back. Now, in my case, I did have a bit of an excuse, right? Because I had fractured ribs. I had a reason to be having pain. Later that week, I had an appointment, and it was right across the parking lot from the Waterton Emergency Department. I was kind of lucky, because as I walked back to my truck from that appointment, you guessed it. So I made it to the door of the emergency. As that door opened, I collapsed. Next thing I know, they're working on me. They're telling me, Dave, you had a massive heart attack. So that story probably doesn't sound very lucky, but let me tell you guys, I'm the luckiest guy on the planet. And not just because I have the legs for one of those hospital gowns. Lucky because I was right there when I had the big heart attack. If I'd have been out in the bush or out on the trail, it was a massive heart attack. It was 100% blockage. I wouldn't be here now. But I had all those smaller incidents leading up to that. And it's the same with you. If you're out riding on the trail and you have warning signs or symptoms of a heart attack and you know what to do, you got a chance to do something. Now, a heart attack happens when the supply of blood and oxygen to your heart gets restricted. Usually because a blood vessel has gotten narrowed or blocked by a clot. So time is everything. The longer you leave it, the more chance that muscle is going to die. So it's really important that you know what to do if you think you're having a heart attack. All right, so who's at risk and who should be watching this video? I can almost guarantee that at least some of you guys watching this video are going to be in one of these groups. Do you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or high cholesterol? Have you already had a heart attack or been previously diagnosed with heart disease? Seems like a no-brainer. You're at risk. Family history is a factor. When I was younger, I lost my father to a heart attack. He was a year older than I was when I had mine. Obesity is a factor, so are you overweight? Age is a factor, so guys, are you over 45? Ladies, are you over 55? That doesn't seem fair, but you're at risk. All right, smokers, you knew this was coming. Smoking is a huge contributing factor. A lot of people think of smoking in terms of emphysema and lung cancer, but it's a huge contributing factor to heart disease. And probably in my case, that was the biggest one. Everybody was shocked when I had a heart attack because, you know, I'm not overweight, I'm in shape, I work a physical job. but I smoked for a lot of years. All right, guys, so that's not an exhaustive list of everything that can contribute to heart disease, but it's some of the main ones. So if any of those things apply to you, then this is something you should be at least thinking about. Now, the reason this is important in our sport is snowmobiling is a really physical activity. It's actually a lot more exertion than you think it is. And you're doing that exerting out in the cold. Now, there's a reason that emergency departments see more heart attacks and heart attack deaths after a big, heavy snowfall. Because people are suddenly outside doing heavy work that they're not used to. And just like riding a sled, they're doing that heavy work outside in the cold. And the cold puts some specific demands on your heart and cardiovascular system. First off, your heart's probably already working harder because you're out there in the cold and it's trying to keep you warm, right? It's trying to keep your blood moving through your extremities. So once you start to exert out there, then you're asking it to do even more. Plus, cold can constrict blood vessels, and that can reduce the flow of blood and oxygen to your heart. Okay, so knowing all that, what does that mean? What do I want to do? Well, the first thing I want to do is reduce the likelihood that that's going to happen in the first place. If you're in a risk group or you're just really out of shape, pace yourself when you start, right? And that's what I'm going to be doing this season. I'm going to be taking it slow, just riding around the village, gradually working myself up and increasing my level of activity. Dress appropriately for the sport. If your heart's already working hard to try and keep you warm, don't make it work harder than it needs to. Invest in a good set of snowmobile gear. Make sure that you're keeping your head and your face and your extremities warm. So if you're out there and you're riding your sled or you're doing any of those other things, you're trying to get it unstuck, and you feel those symptoms or you think you're having a heart attack, what do? Well, the first thing you do is stop what you're doing, right? So stop the sled or stop trying to get it unstuck. Give yourself a chance to calm down, take the work off your heart. The next thing I'm going to do is call 911. Now up here, I've got some areas where I don't have cell service, so I don't have a choice. I got to keep going until I can make that call. But as soon as I can, I'm going to call 911. I want to get those responders coming to me as quickly as I can. Okay, great reason to have a GPS. And if you don't have a GPS, at least a map of the local roads and snowmobile trail systems, because you need to be able to let first responders know where you are. Now, the other suggestion you'll see a lot is to chew an aspirin or chew 2 81 milligram aspirins, as long as you're not allergic to aspirin. What aspirin does, it works on the platelets and it stops them from clotting. So if you have a partial blockage, you don't want it getting any worse. So it's always a great idea to pack some aspirin with you when you're out on the trail. It's worth remembering though, you can't use Advil or Tylenol. They don't do the same thing. It's got to be aspirin. But taking aspirin is to keep it from getting worse. It's not a substitute for medical attention, right? So make sure you're calling 911. All right, now obviously we're going to listen to the instructions from the 911 operator. If it's me, if I'm comfortable that they can reach me and I'm safe and I'm warm, then I'm going to sit there and keep myself quiet until help arrives. If I start trying to trek out through the bush when I don't need to, I could actually make it worse. The main thing I want to impress on you guys is don't waste time, right? Time is heart muscle. If you've got pain in your chest, you think you're having a heart attack, don't tough it out. Don't just keep riding or wait till you get to the next town. Stop and deal with it. And you know what, guys? It could be nothing. Absolutely. And yes, that's embarrassing. But you know what? The alternative, if it is a heart attack and you didn't go, the alternative is a whole lot worse. So that may not be the most uplifting message to give you at the beginning of a snowmobile season, but I think it's an important one to hear. If you agree with me, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up. Now we can get into the fun stuff. So I've got some new products that I want to show you. I got some work I want to do on the sleds. So if you haven't already, take a second, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell icon, you'll get notified when I post a new video. So until next time, stay healthy, and thanks for taking the time to watch. Fit. I'm in good shape. I'm not overweight. I had to do a lot of active thing. Or if you get it stuck and you're trying to get it out. Even pulling a trail. I was kind of lucky because as I walked back to my truck from that apartment,